He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Oh, I should turn on my camera. Welcome back to another episode of Goss, the Ministry of Truth. I am Javi, the only host on the show, which is a good thing because I talk way too much sometimes. So, this is the afternoon edition, which means I feel like I'm just going to do random shit that pops in my mind. And what popped in my mind today is a little urban exploring. If you don't know what that is, you're about to find out. I don't know why I'm looking over there. I should be looking over there. As well as, okay, you can be co-host just for today. Anyway, as well as folklore. Some Native American folklore, because, well, who doesn't like scary stories? And some Filipino folklore, because I said, who doesn't like scary stories? But first, I want to go over this. It's a little, no, he's too afraid. It's from Maui, of all places. Did you guys know there's a series of underground tunnels in Hawaii? I did. I just forgot about it because I sent it to my buddy a month ago, and I probably should have looked at it. So, we get to look at it together.
This is Smoking Motorsports. We got Red and Binford right here.
Oh, and before, if you see me not paying attention, I kind of started without rolling a joint, so that's where I'm going to be, but I'll still be here listening.
We're reporting with Side Pipes in Wisconsin. This is Side Pipes. Wisconsin's in here.
What's up, Larp?
We're in this big generator thing. Freshwater pump. Freshwater pump of some kind. We're going to take an elevator downstairs.
I kind of want to break into here now, too.
Let's get just this building. Work around this thing. This is the elevator we're going down in.
You're supposed to check some cover.
Yeah, so it says right here, check elevator motor cover before using.
They have to be some drunk soldiers. Alright, get to the fucking exploring, you cocksuckers. You gotta get air up there somehow. Or is it under... is there a generator? Oh, they're not drunk soldiers. Could have fooled me. Oh, they have keys. These motherfuckers. Bitches. Wait, they're going 300 feet down, but there's a 600-foot one?
Well, we want to go to the 600, bro.
We can go check a few other ones.
Oh, yeah, they've got beer. I was half right.
What do we got to run into?
So we're doing a steep route if we get stuck. Then you gotta climb over.
This is it.
Oh, no, there's a ladder. A ladder. 300-foot ladder.
Oh, he's probably drinking no duels. Oddly enough, there's a lot of these tunnels throughout the United States.
Okay, hit that one, and then let them go, and it should move us. There you go.
Going down the first floor. Ladies lingerie. Down into the bowels of Maui. And gas. Hope you guys don't mind.
Hope you brought a canary.
Yeah, the ladder's right here, right to the elevator.
Or you climb on this and just open the door.
What's that?
You just open this up and climb on.
What do you mean?
You know the elevator.
Yeah, you just open the fucking door.
Yeah, it's right in front of you, douche nozzle.
That was the best. That was like 200, but it's going a little bit further than that.
This is about a 300-foot hole or what?
You know which one we should go?
No, your mom's about a 300-foot hole.
When it drops into the pile of water.
Oh yeah, that one's crazy. There's one of them, like my first ride down, right?
Right?
Didn't even see it coming. We're cruising
Good,
down.
shut up.
150, like,
Slow
right
ass
to the
elevator.
fucking tops, and it just goes,
Whoa.
get down to the bottom, and like right when we hit
Fantastic Four?
the fucking bottom, dude, the bottom of the elevator car hits water. So the elevator stops and it just goes.
Can you stick the camera out, Brad, right here?
Like good.
Looks like we're almost done.
Yes, we're about to stop.
I'll stop by now.
Did you take the full length of the ride?
Oh, yeah, ever since we walked into the building so far, bro. 290 feet.
Can I push this
So it
back?
says right there.
That's all.
Okay, so
They told me 300. I want a refund.
We're going to a 600-foot one.
Yeah, we'll go try to figure out which one.
It's hot up here. Down here. Yeah.
These things over here with steam-powered pumps. That little ruin of a brick building up top. Did you see it?
No.
Little brick square, like 20 by 20. That used to be a coal-fired furnace, and it boiled water to heat the fucking steam, you know, and pump these steam engines. And these steam engines used to send water up.
Wow.
Yeah, so now they use these electric.
So a giant well? Or pump, I'm sorry.
This is California's gold.
I don't even know who that is, LARP. What's up, Zippity? Should I know them?
Somebody had to call somebody monitor the fire to keep the boilers going with it.
Sign this shit back over there. Yeah, I can't see shit till you sign it. Yeah, there you go.
Finished off and we had the blessing of the party and all that. This guy, like older, this very little Asian guy, little skinny little old fucker came up and he told us stories about, because he was born right up above us. You know what I mean? Like way back when. And yeah, back when it was a steam train.
You mean at the beginning, LARP?
That way does it go?
Or on the thumbnail?
Oh, fuck yeah. This is straight fucking what we're gonna make right here. What are these, bro?
Yeah, okay.
Our old mine shafts.
Yeah, this is areas where they cut off to the side.
Go for it, Ben.
Yeah. That's actually from,
You want to take the camera?
I took it from a wrestler.
You all zooming in over the end. There you go, sir.
We're looking at the underground towers of Maui. Tunnels.
Oh shit, let's do it, dude. I'll fucking go. Roll it, bro. Buddy program.
If I remember right, that would be
Expedition. We'll be right here with the ball.
Okay, yeah, Bray Wyatt was using it before he passed away.
Centipedes are gonna be all crawling up in here. You staying up in there? Is that it? Oh shit. Water too, man. Damn it. Hey, go back through and I'll videotape you coming through it. I can explore. When I go in now?
I had like 2 other urban exploring videos in here, but the hard part about urban exploring is finding people that don't mind getting arrested with you. In case you get caught. Well, if I'm exploring with you, you better be able to run faster than me. Well, I don't know why people are so scared. Could be haunted. There could be homeless people. It could be normal people like you doing the same thing.
Dude, yeah. Like you're exploring a cave.
I'll explore the shit out of some caves, though.
Crikey, what do we got up here? I'll be the weather in here, bro.
Actually, LARP sounds like the kind of guy that would do urban exploring. Got that aura. Alright, fuck this. Maybe there's a reason I didn't watch that shit. Alright. Rockstar, what up? Alright, so that one kind of was not what I expected. My buddy said it was great. Maybe, I don't know. I sent it to him, but I didn't fucking watch it. It's dumb. But then we're going to the folklore. And folklore such as, I don't know if they go over chupacabra, because I think that's Mexican folklore. But they do go over skinwalkers.
Continuing our journey across the world exploring strange, terrifying, and crazy folklore, we have been to Sweden and more recently North America. Now, for today's episode, we won't have to travel far.
Right.
As by very popular demand, we will be taking a look at some Native American folklore. If the few Native American legends I've covered so far on the channel are anything to go by, then this should be a very fun episode. Before we go any further, today's video has been sponsored
Learn
by
Arabic.
Babbel, the only language learning platform and application you'll need. For me, learning
What
was
happened to
based on
Rosetta
just getting
Stone?
the app
'Cause
on
they
my
said the
ears
same
anyway.
thing.
There are live
But that shit
videos
was
I can
balls
fit
expensive.
multiple in throughout the day, and
The army
really
offered it for free at one point to learn Arabic, but
in the forests of eastern Canada and the Great Lakes region, the Algonquin
Wendigo!
people tell stories of
My
a
daughter's
mythical
deathly afraid of
creature,
this.
a terrifying spirit, evil in nature. Its hunger cannot be satiated, and so it searches for victims to possess. Those who fall under its influence
Although the
have an
Wendigo I know of has
uncontrollable
antlers.
desire to murder and cannibalize other human beings. The creature in question is indeed the Wendigo, an enormous monster forged from ice that grows bigger and bigger in line with its appetite.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
know when one approaches, as even the slightest breeze becomes a petrifying chill. The air is filled with a stench that can only be compared to death itself.
Now, what if? What if I have tattoos? Will he not eat me? Jeffrey Dahmer says we taste terrible.
Because that is what follows wherever the Wendigo goes. The Wendigo represents greed, famine, starvation, the cold, and corruption. Its appearance at its core is still somewhat human, just amplified in the worst ways. A dark, twisted, and terrifying
No, he's
representation
talking
of
slow.
humanity.
It's that way he hammers in that need of like, oh, I need to pay attention to what he's saying. This sounds kind of scary. But at the same time, I'm here to make jokes of it. Even though I taunt Wendigos all the time.
Humanity, its vices, and hardships. The Wendigo is a creature we've already covered, so I'll leave a link in the
Oh,
description for
dickhead, thanks.
anyone who wants a more detailed explanation.
Oh yeah, it's like an hour long.
Another creature we've
Here
discussed
we
is the
go.
skinwalker, an individual often seen as a witch of sorts, who can disguise and transform themselves into an animal. Animals associated with skinwalkers include coyotes, wolves, bears, dogs, and numerous others. There are several different types of skinwalkers discussed in Navajo culture, but they
Uh-huh.
are always seen in a negative light. Those in the
By
community who are
Americans or white
helpful
people
in
though.
both a spiritual and physical way will often be referred to as medicine men and women.
You mean shaman?
These men and women embody everything positive about Navajo culture and values. Part of becoming a healer involves learning
What's up,
various
Harper?
practices, including a balance of magic that can be seen as
Yeah, zippity
good
shapeshifters.
and also evil. The skinwalkers can be seen as the polar opposite. They may once have been medicine men and women, but in this process they were tempted by the evil and nefarious arts. The
Well, fuck.
responsibility of this power
I would
is
be a
too much
skinwalker.
for some, and the allure of the twisted and dark ceremonies is too strong. They are corrupted and become witches instead. Where a medicine man or woman would use their gifts and ancestral guidance for good, skinwalkers may hide amongst their tribe in plain sight during the day,
So what you're saying
only to
is
transform
this human form or the human that didn't get corrupted basically get wear a wolf's head and arms. But if you get corrupted by the darkness, you get to become a wolf anytime you fucking want. So who do you think wins out there?
and perform these evil acts under the cover of
Oh
night.
hell yeah, Harper.
Stories and legends relating to skinwalkers are very important, and so they are not really discussed with those considered outsiders. The process of becoming a skinwalker, therefore, is virtually unknown.
Hmm.
Some theories suggest in exchange for such power, one would have to perform a truly monstrous ceremony, an irredeemable act,
How so?
taking the life of someone close to you, perhaps a family member.
My sister.
Given the dark tone
I'll
and
do it.
severity of these legends, it's understandable why they are not spoken of in much detail. Horned serpents and dragons appear in most cultures, and Native American cultures are no
Is that
exception. There are numerous names for these creatures
now
across
that
the
I would run
many
away from?
tribes. The Cherokee refer to this serpent as the Uktana, a large underwater serpent with shimmering scales that burn bright,
Never get in the
horns,
water again.
and a crystal located in its forehead. The scales and crystals were thought to have magical
So if you find this thing, right, and you snatch that crystal out of its head somehow, do you get special powers?
properties and were used for divination. The horns also had medicinal properties, which
Hmm.
would make hunting these serpents terrifying, as it may seem a worthwhile endeavor. It's said that a horned serpent that resembles a stag will not harm humans,
Okay,
but
cool.
its
Woo!
crystal seems to have a magnetic power over other animals. The Cherokee saw this glistening crystal as the greatest prize. However, it was also the greatest danger. Those who encounter the serpent are drawn in by how bright the crystal burns. Rather than flee, they are drawn towards it, and in turn their death. To make the hunt even more challenging, the majority of its scales are impenetrable. The only way to kill the Uktana is by following the rings and spots that run all along its body. The
Mhm.
seventh spot from its head is where its heart is located,
Gee, that
and
sounds like
this
a
is
lot of
the
work.
only area vulnerable to any kind of attack. There are some stories of these serpents being driven away and destroyed by the Thunderbirds, which segues us nicely into our next creature. Similar to the horned serpent, the Thunderbird was thought to occupy the Great
Oh
Plains and the Great Lakes
no.
region.
Okay.
A large bird that could generate thunder by simply flapping its
Bruh.
wings, hence the name. Often portrayed as a giant eagle, they sometimes also have control over the rain and other elements of the weather.
I like
The
it.
conflict between the horned serpent and the thunderbird relates back to an Algonquin story. The thunderbird reigned over the upper world, and the horned serpent reigned over the underworld. When these creatures from the underworld would attempt to invade the upper world, the thunderbird watching from above would flap its wings and shoot thunder down at the invading
You mean
creatures.
lightning?
There are several stories that state the Thunderbirds were created to fight the underworld spirits, but also to punish humans who broke the morals and codes that
Well, fuck.
governed their society. Although the Thunderbirds were seen as protectors, and you often do see them depicted on totem
I didn't even
poles,
think about
they
that.
still served as a reminder of the morals that were valued. The dear woman or dear lady
Okay,
is
Zippity.
certainly an archetype we see often in folklore. A
Uh-oh.
succubus,
Damn it.
siren, or seductive type of monster. Depending on the situation, she
I'd be
can
fucked.
appear in two different lights. For men who remain faithful and take care of their families, she is a spirit associated with love and fertility.
Alright.
However, those who harm women and children encounter a very different creature,
So
a
Chomos.
vengeful monster who lures and seduces these men to then murder them for their misdeeds and sins. Some believe
I'm
that
safe.
seeing the dear woman at first is more of a warning, a reminder that some kind of personal change must occur. If this warning is ignored, the next time you see her will be the last.
So I'm
For
guessing it's a good thing I've never seen one.
those wondering how the dear woman punishes these men, she hides behind a bush or tree and calls out to them, only revealing her human
Oh yeah,
side.
I'm totally gonna
As
go
these
towards
men
the
are
bush calling my
unfaithful,
name.
the call of a beautiful woman is more than enough to grab their attention. By the time they are close enough to realize she isn't entirely human, it's already too late. Her hooves are used to trample and stamp her victim to
Well, that doesn't
death.
sound like fun.
I'm sure there's a message there about not taking advantage and treading all over the people who care about you, but being punished by a dear woman who literally treads all over you seems like the perfect amount of irony. In
Uh-oh.
Cherokee folklore existed a figure known as Spearfinger, a woman with stone-like skin and an elongated razor-sharp
I
finger
feel
on
like
her
this
right
lady's in
hand
every
that she would
folklore.
use to slice open her victims. She would walk the trails and rivers surrounding the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee
I wonder if
and
she...
North Carolina.
Oh, fuck.
It's said that you can hear Spearfinger humming
Tennessee,
her
huh?
favorite song, echoing throughout the mountains and scaring away any nearby wildlife. Although nobody was safe,
I
she
wonder if I can
preferred to
find her.
target children, transforming herself into family members to deceive them.
Hmm.
She could also take the form of a helpless elderly woman. Those
Right.
kind enough to offer her assistance are left regretting their decision. Defeating Spearfinger was near impossible, as her skin was made of stone. Arrows and any other kind of sharp
Wrecking
weapon would
ball.
merely
Duh.
bounce off her. Her only known weakness was that her heart was located in her right palm, and so she clutches it tight, using her elongated finger as protection. Eventually, the Cherokee tribes came together and devised a plan
So
to
cut the
finally
finger.
kill Spearfinger. Under advice from a medicine man, they dug a large pit, and with green sapling created a bushfire large enough to attract her attention. She came to the village disguised as an elderly woman, asking for assistance. The hunters soon realized this was a disguise and began to attack. The spears thrown bounced and ricocheted. This only angered Spearfinger as she ran towards them. However, this was
Dumbass.
expected, and in chasing them, she had fallen into the pit. Even with her trapped, the Cherokee had no idea how to kill her. They noticed the birds who were once terrified of Spearfinger flew down to offer assistance. One bird began to sing. The sound it was making translated to mean heart. The hunters took this to mean shoot her in her chest, and so they took the bird's advice. The arrows and spears once again could not penetrate Spearfinger's skin, and so they turned to the bird and cut out its tongue,
Oh.
enraged it would lie to them. However, the bird did not lie. The hunters were unaware that her heart was not located in her chest. Another bird flew down, but this time landed on Spearfinger's right hand. The hunters listened again and began to attack the hand that was always closed so tightly.
And they killed the
Only
bird.
now Spearfinger began to panic. Eventually, one of the spears severed her heart and she fell to the ground. The stone giant that plagued the lands was gone, but the legend and stories of Spearfinger continued. And that brings today's episode to an end. Let me know which of today's stories were your favorite in the comments below.
As always, we know that we were going to move on to some urban exploring. Oh, I thought this was a school. Fuck, I thought this was a school. Anyway, we're going to watch it regardless because I like it. I love it. And I got to find it. So this guy's from Cleveland. He's a big old dude. He gets pretty fucking scared sometimes. But when you're exploring in the dark, I kind of understand that, especially in abandoned buildings, cemeteries. Looks like an old. Oh, it's an old school, I believe. Or no, or is this the neighborhood? He's hunting stuff. He does find some cool shit when he does this, though. And oddly enough, he finds a lot of books. They leave books everywhere that they could use send to schools and stuff. Like I said, there's plenty of abandoned buildings. I just can't find people that aren't pussies. My favorite is when he's got basements and tunnels. But imagine going through abandoned buildings in Cleveland at night.
Somebody was in here smoking.
Yep. Plot twist. It was me, guys. It's just crazy how, like, people will literally run through these buildings and destroy everything. But then you'll find some explorers, they find shit that's pristine. Like, never touched. Look at the Bible. Probably Gen A's. I guess I didn't like that one.
IR camera up.
Oh, this is the same dude that went through an abandoned prison and found 10 grand in a locker. He about shit his pants. He ran out of there. They even took the cross, huh?
Wonder why they abandoned this church.
Probably run out of money from the pastor. You know, buying himself a brand new Lexus or some shit.
I'm gonna head down to the basement.
Oh, even better. That must be how he got in. Now, how many of you in the chat would do this? Because there's a place in Indiana. $100 for the night. Whole building. No, this house is cleaner. Oh. All right. Were they using the pages to smoke or something? What's up?
This is creepier at night.
Oh, at least they left the giraffe. Wait a second. Is that from that cartoon?
I don't remember that being like that last time I was here.
It's
I
Madagascar,
don't remember though.
I think. Chris Rock, maybe. I know y'all have kids. Come on, help me out here.
Somebody's church jacket.
Check it for money. Check the pockets. What's wrong with you? Check the pockets. Cleveland.
It's almost like they had a party here and then abandoned
It's
it.
in Cleveland.
It's like decorations and stuff.
Oh, if this is the one I think it is, Kurt might be in it later. Way to go, jackass. Yeah, Kurt's in this one, guys. Kurt's in this one. But not in the church. He's in the house. I don't know why this is the one I picked. It's fucking hilarious. You're welcome. It's the newest version of Resident Evil. But instead of zombies, it's the crackheads of Cleveland. So basically, they're like zombies, but dumber. It's crazy how quick buildings can just fucking go to shit.
Could have swore I heard something.
No, you're just imagining things. Shh. Shh. I'm tripping. Tripping. You're just tripping, bro. What was that? You didn't hear that? I heard that.
I think that's an animal.
Then go fucking check, bitch. Crackhead? Crackhead? Guess not. What are we looking for? Oh, we're back in the church now, huh? What are we looking at in the church?
That's weird.
It is. Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
What's upstairs?
It was the wind. It was the wind guy.
Oh shit.
Dude, it's a church. How could anything bad be living in a church? Oh, my bad. Earplugs are being dumb. Earbuds. Wait, is this more where you got speared by a ghost?
That was loud.
Well, no shit. You slam a door in an empty building. If it goes pause, I'll be right back. Just changing my earbuds out.
It doesn't open.
I mean, the walls are still pretty. Never mind.
That was super loud.
What if that was bulletproof glass and they were trying to shoot the priest? Because his name was Judas. Alright. I'm going to quit my day job. Become a full-time comedian. The wind.
At least I don't think it was.
I need to get me an IR cam. Kick it in. Kick it in. Kick it. Kind of looked like a closet. Oh. It was the wind. Did you see that vent?
What does that say?
What? Look up, look around, you'll be dead. Hold on, I should be dead now. Hold on. Up, down, around. That was kind of cool. My neighbor was throwing a bunch of bottles in the trash can as soon as I did that.
I think that noise was
Hold on, Zip.
outside.
Kurt's house is coming up. Calm down. We're still in the church. He's got to go outside first. This was the one I was looking for, but it just happened to be match Kurt.
Yeah. That was somebody outside. Speaking of that, I'm about to go explore those houses. Oh shit.
Jump up there.
There's a whole nother upstairs.
Yeah, I know. Now go find it.
Anybody can be in this church. All you need is a ladder.
Spider-Man. Grab one of the pews.
That's crazy. Alright. I'm gonna let the cameras keep recording.
Good. Now go outside.
I'm gonna go explore those houses.
Catch me outside. How about that? Take one of those mini pews, take it home, refinish it. You and me both, Zippity. You and me both. Let's get inside Kurt's house now. This is all you've been waiting for. I'm glad I remembered this. Welcome to Kurt's house. See the wheelchair ramp? No, the other way.
That's kind of creepy.
It's kind of... Just go anyway.
There's a path going through here.
Then follow the
Like
fucking
a lot
path.
of people must walk back here. That's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, paths are scary. Come on. I think it was this guy that I figured out what the ISO function was actually for on cameras. So if you crease it, it lightens up everything around it. So you could be not pitch black, it could be black, dark. Turn up the ISO and you can see stuff. And if you guys already knew that, then fuck you guys.
Shit.
You know, if I had a brick house, vines actually grow out here, I would just let those motherfuckers grow. See? Welcome to Kurt's house. Wipe your feet on the way in.
Stairs are sketchy.
Oh, that's good. That's what my son wants to do, actually, Zippity. Not the instructor part. Those are Kurt's medications. That's where Kurt does his upside down sit-ups off the wall. And this is where Kurt, puts together his workout videos. Never mind the black mold in the wall.
This place is destroyed.
The picture they took of the house. Circa pre 9/11. I don't know. Who? I have no idea who that is. Probably why I'm not a Steelers fan. And a VCR, Oh, what were those things for? Pressure washer, maybe? Temp tag.
Yeah, somebody's been up here
Shell casings.
smoking.
So they're stripping the copper out of the wire or the TVs.
This old TV.
That's what I was telling them. So I said you should have another plan. This can be the side biz. I don't think there's any fixing that.
2001.
Hmm.
Damn, that's
I
old.
was close. It was
Wonder
right
how long
after
this place been
9/11.
abandoned. Huh.
What?
Okay.
Cassette porn. Or the kind of
Door.
cassettes every boy found in his parents' closet. My thick black ass.
What are these doing up here?
Black chicks.
Black chicks.
Butt taboo, what did I say? Damn, Kurt, when are you going to clean that place up? Oh, I keep motor oil in the second floor of my house, too. I mean, that's probably the smartest place to put it, right? Another license plate. Yeah, almost. What's up, bud? Well, I appreciate the business. downstairs. Stop being scared, dude. This dude is like the size of a fucking defensive lineman. I don't know why he's so fucking scary. What, it smelled bad? There might have been a dead body. Okay, that wasn't Kurt's house. Kurt's house is the next house. Saturn, kinda, but I don't think he's really looking for ghosts. Occasionally he finds some interesting shit. Here we go. Dude, I thought I was hearing an owl outside. Freaking me out. Neighbor's kid. Didn't even knock on the door, dude. They might have opened it for you. I'm just curious why big cities don't just tear these buildings down and put something up where
How did
other
they have
people
thought
can
about
live.
this?
Unless nobody wants to live there, but that's something the mayor should fix. If they didn't defund the police.
Look at that. That door's open.
Maybe I need to go around bigger
It
city
wasn't like that
suburbs to
last
find
time.
abandoned stuff. They have underground bunkers here. I forgot about it, and I know how to get to them. Apparently, Fort Campbell also used to be a World War II POW camp for Germans. No, just tell them you're there to be like, I'm. Oh. Wait. You guys hear something? No. I mean, it's kind of clean if you're in Michigan, maybe. It looked like an army blanket. Or not army, those old wool blankets that itch like a motherfucker. I hated those. A dead body? No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Jay? What's that drink? Mike's Hardcore Lemonade, or whatever it's called. There's an upstairs.
There's a basement.
Wait, then what's the other one? Oh, yeah, dead bodies.
That's creepy as fuck.
That's where you guys go to get murdered, I promise.
I don't know
What's that, Zippity?
There's like running water down there. This is sketchy. This cannot be safe.
Those bricks. Never mind. Wait. Go back.
Hope I don't find a body down here. It actually looks like it's just underneath the house. It's not really a basement. Still creeping.
Holy shit, it was
Sorry.
Kurt.
I didn't know nobody lived there.
You notice Kurt wasn't in a wheelchair?
Shit. It smelled like piss. I knew somebody was in there.
Hope you didn't blink. Now there's a fucking light on, too.
There's somebody living in there. And there's electricity.
I told you Kurt was
That's
home.
enough for me. I did not mean to disturb them. That is sketchy.
Well, that was it for that one. I just wanted you guys to see the homeless person. And it totally clicked in my head after you guys started saying Kurt. It could be Kurt. Ah, that was fucking insane. Anyway, back to skinwalkers. It kind of looks like if you watch, what was that show? Are You Afraid of the Dark? This looks like it would be like an opening scene. Or Goosebumps. You know, from Snick. Oh, shit.
There are many truly terrifying legends that originate from Native American folklore. One that stands out for many is the Wendigo, maybe because deep down it reflects our very own human nature. But there are legends out there that we know next to nothing about because they are deemed so horrid, so evil, that even talking about them or mentioning them in passing is a bad omen. Today's video will be on the Nadlushi, the Navajo skinwalker. Now, skinwalkers are a topic I've wanted to cover for a while, but the taboo around the subject does mean there isn't a wealth of information out there. So I guess we start with the
Hey, Zippity, send it to the email that you sent those pictures to. Because I can't see the message.
obvious. What exactly is a skinwalker? At first glance, skinwalkers are essentially shapeshifters, but shapeshifter in itself is a very loose term. You can transform into an animal, an object, or another human. It literally just means you can alter your shape or form. The transformation of skinwalkers for the most part is limited to just animals. The biggest hint we get is from its native name, Nadlushi. In the Navajo language, this roughly translates to mean he or she who goes on all fours, but that doesn't necessarily limit the transformation to four-legged animals. The Navajo saw skinwalkers as powerful witches or corrupt medicine men who had obtained the highest level of priesthood, but instead they choose to use these supernatural abilities to inflict harm and suffering on others. The fear of repercussion coupled with a distrust of outsiders are two fairly compelling reasons why skinwalkers aren't openly talked about. There is also the belief that skinwalkers only share their practices with their own kind, which only adds to the mystery surrounding them. This also means it's unlikely that the Navajo know who among them is actually a skinwalker, as they transform under the cover of night. What type of animal they transform into does seem to vary, the most common being a coyote, which is often seen as a trickster. They can also take the form of other animals such as foxes, wolves, owls, eagles, and crows.
That would be a
The
wolf.
form they take depends on what they
Ow.
require, as each animal has a different set of unique abilities. If they planned on attacking someone, then a wolf would be a good choice, whereas transforming into some kind of bird offers the ability of flight. And even something like a crow being an omen of death could act as a warning or a threat.
Oh.
The skinwalker wears the skin of the animal they transform into, hence the name. But wearing the skin of most animals was seen as
Okay.
taboo by many tribes, and the Navajo only wore sheepskin and buckskin
Okay,
when it
Zippity.
came to ceremonial
Have a good night.
purposes. So unless the skinwalkers only wore these skins during the night, it kind of defeats the whole you never know who the skinwalker among you is, because it's obviously the person wearing the animal
How many
skin.
people watching?
What it actually takes to become a skinwalker, no one really knows for sure. But as witches and medicine men, it's believed that a ritual must be performed, and given their nature, it's likely to have been the dark and nefarious kind. There is also the belief that to become a
Wonder if I can find
skinwalker,
it.
you must first take the life of someone close to
Oh,
you,
never mind. We were
a
talking about
friend
this.
or family member. So if some do in fact deem it worthy of taking the life of another, then surely what you receive in return must be impressive.
So it's kind
And
of
along
like
with being able to turn into animals, skinwalkers can mimic the sound or voice of any animal or human. With the transformation
Guardians
comes
of the
enhanced
Galaxy, the
stamina,
stone thing.
strength, and speed. Catching a skinwalker in
No,
animal form
Gamora,
is thought to be
murder,
nigh on
stuff like
impossible.
that. Okay.
Some skinwalkers were even capable of reading the human mind, and if one was to stare into the eyes of a skinwalker for long enough, they can enter your mind and take control of your body. There isn't much said about how one kills a skinwalker, but similar to stories of werewolves, some believe that saying a skinwalker's full name out loud will result in them having to atone for their crimes and even dying in some cases. It's difficult to say for sure what a skinwalker's motives are. They may be seen as evil, but they are still human, and like some humans, they are driven by their own selfish and malicious nature. As you may expect, over the years there have been hundreds of stories of people claiming to have seen or encountered skinwalkers, but none of these have been proven. If a video detailing some of these accounts and stories is something you'd like to see, then let me know in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to leave a
Ah, gotta love folklore and stories like that. Why do I look young on camera? That's bullshit. Anyway, get on to the next video. Another urban exploring one. This one I wanted to watch specifically because I haven't seen it before. But it's talking about underground bunkers in Baltimore. Why do we have an underground bunker in Baltimore? There's no military there. Well, they're around Baltimore, but nowhere near Baltimore.
Explorers, today we are exploring a military base named Fort Armistead, an Army coastal defense fort located in Baltimore, Maryland. The fort was built in 1901, containing 4 gun batteries ranging from 3 to 12 inches. During World War I, these guns were removed from the fort to be used as railway artillery. After the war concluded, the fort was eventually decommissioned in 1920. Even with its short history, it was quite astonishing to see the amount of overgrowth and just vegetation that had occurred in this location almost 100 years since its abandonment.
Oh, shit.
Despite its exterior appearance of ancient jungle ruins, this place is known by the locals as a hotspot for vandals, narcotic enthusiasts, and male
mean druggies?
prostitutes.
Like, oh my God, there's someone over there.
Join us, along with my friends Dan and Jake, as we explore what was left.
How come he can
behind.
find friends?
It's
that aren't
cool. Like,
pussies?
look at the foliage.
Yeah, it is cool.
These steps down.
Is that a dog? Sometimes I just feel like, why would you deface historical sites? Well, to them, it's probably not historical because it's military history.
So these here lead down into the tunnels.
Oh, really?
But you get to the tunnels down at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Isn't President? Yes, Clinton.
Quit.
Yeah, he visited here.
I thought you
Oh,
said
Quincy.
who's before Bush? Clinton. No,
Clinton.
Clinton.
This
Reagan.
is awesome.
Which Bush?
Look at all just the stonework. I mean, the graffiti's kind of. I mean, I guess it adds sort of an aspect to it, but like it's just something to see the old stonework. You can see this place has just been completely overgrown.
Like when you're just walking through the woods and you find random shit like this. I mean, here it's probably better to do it when there's no snakes.
It's kind of steep, some of the steps, and it's all overgrown. You can see the foliage. And a bridge cover where they probably could have driven trucks and stuff into the actual base,
Well, that's what bridges
leading
are
into the
for,
tunnels
stupid.
here. Looks very grim.
That
Be
means
cool to
people
explore
walk
at
too
night.
slow for my liking. Wish I could get like a remote control.
Looks like a mattress on here.
That's gross.
Oh no, it's just a stone slab. Holy, look at this. Look at all the cement work in here. Like this thing was built to withstand bombs.
Well, that's what a bunker is for.
Oh, I remember this room.
There's somebody in the tunnels? Yeah.
Dude, stop standing there.
Dan's shining the flashlight in, trying to bait them out. Going in?
Oh. Just go, dude. Something charges, you just jump on it.
Following Dan.
Ah. Sumo squat.
Alright, I don't think he's waiting here.
Watch Dan get stabbed in a couple of seconds. So this is cool. What would have this been right here, Dan?
I don't know.
Well, I don't think he need. Well, he can get the flower now. Already looks like he already had the mushroom. Look up real quick.
Look at the roofing on this place. You can see the metal rivets.
Yeah.
that stick out. The tunnels seem to press on without end. I'm honestly surprised that none of us ended up getting lost down here.
Well, there's arrows on the walls.
You can hear how the echoes just resonate off these walls.
You know, I probably couldn't do this without a little pistol.
There's a pillow
Pistol and some pepper
sweater.
gel.
I couldn't imagine
In
sleeping.
case I get
down
hungry.
here. Yeah, you can imagine what it would have looked like. Like this metal sheet or the metal rebar would have coated the whole roof. And then you just would have these long cement corridors that seem to be almost endless. And you can see the floor is very wet. See those bugs?
Illuminati motherfuckers.
They're all over the roof too.
This door frame here is wood. Isn't it? Yeah.
This building's not as old as I want to look at. So
All over the place.
fuck at it.
You said they're camel crickets there?
Yeah.
They're
God,
all
they're
over.
all over. Oh my God, look at them all over there.
Yeah.
Rotate.
With all their antennas
Holy-
moving.
Yeah. They're
This is the
huge.
perfect environment for them.
You can eat
Yeah,
crickets,
and all
bro.
the stalagmites. I'm getting dripped on.
With those crickets up there, they're breeding. So guess what it is?
I didn't even realize that it went that high.
But it doesn't last long on that setting.
How long?
I don't know. That's like its ultra. That's like 12,000 lumens.
Gay is okay, guys. Gay is okay. And I'm pretty sure I just saw ghetto in there. Go to the other side and look up.
I can actually see the outside through here.
Yeah, that's one of the.
Oh,
The tunnels were very interesting in a way that there were many separate entrances that would lead you into a new set of tunnels
Well,
that
that's
were
what tunnels do.
sometimes completely cut off from the other portions
Fuck that,
of the
dude.
base.
they suck ass. Anyway, back to two more stories. Back to some more Native American folklore, and then we're going to some. We're gonna go overseas a little bit. Let me make sure there's no Wendigo shit in this. Or are these people stories? Yep, these are people stories. And I didn't mean like fake people. The Indians aren't real people, but real people stories.
Maybe the creatures in a particular culture's mythology often stick with the land and people who believe in them. On the other hand, perhaps every culture's mythology is actually describing the same things, using different names and different
I've actually been
understandings.
noticing that.
After all, there are
Watching this
multiple
stuff.
shape-shifting entities within mythologies across the world,
But some have
of
same
which
names,
are
but they're
quite
different
similar.
creatures.
Well, today, we're looking into terrifying things sighted on or near Native American reservations. You'll soon see that indigenous folklore is quite alive. Enjoy these allegedly true scary stories, and be sure to send me your stories at darkstories.org. I'm still looking for stories about mysterious creatures seen while camping, and disturbing creatures found in Sweden. Also, if you
Kelly.
want more scary entertainment, check out my network of shows at eeriecast.com. We've got Freaky Folklore, a podcast exploring your favorite monsters, myths, and legends, as well as Redwood Bureau, a fictional horror anthology series that's like a mix of X-Files and SCP. Now, let's
double
begin.
pilot?
Possible skinwalker in my neighborhood. From Soviet Onion.
Union.
I believe I've seen this potential skinwalker many times, and I've asked a lot of people in my area about it. I live less than a mile away from a Native American reservation, and I've talked with the locals briefly about what we might be seeing here. Be warned, as the story has some violence towards animals. I live in a town near Phoenix, Arizona. It's small, but there is many mountainous areas right by my house. I've lived here about 1.5 years, and I've heard many people mention that a coyote likes to dig through garbage cans, eat out of the local McDonald's dumpsters, walk through the drain pipes, and supposedly lives in a small park nearby. At first, I thought it was really cool to live so close to the wildlife like this, since I thought we'd only see rabbits and the occasional scorpion. One night, I was taking a walk by myself around said park. I'd brought a flashlight to watch for scorpions on the sidewalk when I heard someone whisper my name. I whipped right around and looked all over the place, but I was the only one in the park. It freaked me out. I started to walk faster, thinking someone might have been following me. I then felt a very cold breeze wash over my skin. I ignored it, thinking it was just the breeze that comes off the mountains on occasion. That's when I saw the coyote that everyone's been talking about. It was standing on its back legs, digging through one of the public trash cans.
Oh.
I froze. Not only was this the first time I'd ever been so close to a coyote that wasn't in a zoo, but the fur on its back made it look as if it had gotten into a fight with a larger predator. Patches were missing and covered in what looked to be dried blood. Figuring if the coyote had won a battle with whatever it had come up against, I slowly backed away and I started to run home. I wouldn't see it again until a month later.
Get his number?
My neighbor has an outdoor cat named Marty. Marty likes to pee on people's porches, so my mother set up a frequency alarm on the front and back side of our house.
Marty McFly.
The frequency is one that only cats and other animals can hear and hopes it would scare them away. It also has a red light on the front that will blink rapidly if something is close by, sort of like a motion detector.
Sure, Cam.
One night I heard a screech coming from outside my house. My room is in the front, and if my curtains aren't closed, I can see the frequency alarm blink when it senses motion. I got out of bed and moved the curtain to see the red light flashing very fast. But I couldn't see anything in the street. Even so, the light was blinking, so I knew something was outside. The following morning, my mother was talking with one of my neighbors outside on the porch. I came out asking what was wrong. My neighbor had said that Marty came home last night missing an ear and had patches of fur missing from his tail. She kept going on, saying the local coyote must be attacking outdoor cats now. I thought that maybe the screech I'd heard last night was Marty. I wasn't sure since my cats would have probably lost their crap if they heard another cat at all. Whenever Marty came up to the driveway, my cats would growl and hiss at him. I didn't say a word about the screech I heard. A few days later, I went on another walk, staying just on the edge of the park since there was a sidewalk. I was still terrified of that coyote. I came to the unlit part of the park, and I pointed my flashlight into the brush. However, bouncing back from my flashlight beam were...
So he's afraid of the coyote, so he's walking down a trail while it's dark. That makes total sense.
Two orange eyes staring directly at me. I immediately moved my flashlight and pointed it at the ground, telling myself I was just freaking myself out. I lifted my flashlight up again at the same spot, and the eyes were gone.
Oh yeah.
I told myself I imagined it until I was heading back home. I decided to take the sidewalk that was right next to one of the main roads, the most lit one. A side note, for drainage purposes, the city had built a very deep ditch along the right side of this sidewalk. Since Arizona gets some very bad monsoons, the ditch gets to about 20 feet up at its lowest point. The part directly behind my house is only about 5 feet deep, with a retaining wall ending my backyard. Anyway, I was walking past the deepest part of the ditch, where the drainage pipes end, when I heard it again. Someone whispering my name. Jen, come here. I heard it coming from the ditch, and I thought to myself, there's no way that came from down there. It's 20 feet deep. I figured it wasn't anything, and I was just freaking out about those orange eyes. So, being an idiot, I walked over to the edge of the ditch, and I looked down. I almost threw up from what I saw. The coyote was tearing into a cat.
Oh.
I had no idea whether it was Marty or not because I could barely tell it was a cat. I'm still not sure if it was. I thought to myself at first that the coyote is a predator, and I suppose this is normal. The ditch is surrounded by small gray rocks, and I was shaking, and I accidentally slipped a bit, trying to get a better look without having to point my flashlight directly at it. A few small rocks tumbled into the ditch, and that coyote whipped its head around, showing its face to me. I wanted to run and cry at the same time. I had no idea what I was looking at. The coyote was missing its lower jaw completely, and its fur looked as if someone had placed a coyote pelt over a person. It stared directly at me with big orange eyes. I choked, frozen in place. I knew if I moved, I'd be the next victim in that ditch. What it did next fully proved to me it wasn't a coyote. It cocked its head to the side and rotated its head 180 degrees to get a better look at me. I swear I could
owl?
hear bones cracking and popping out of place as it did so. I thought to myself, there's no way it should be able to do that. Then its body rotated to join the head.
Bro.
I couldn't stop myself. I
You know what?
bolted out of there.
He lives around close to the Indian reservation. Who has better drugs than the Native Americans? Maybe he's getting contact high.
There. I couldn't watch anymore without throwing up. As I ran away, I heard it crawl out of that ditch, stumbling since the small rocks were all over the sides. It began to run on all fours down the sidewalk after me. I didn't dare look behind me. I just kept running. Like I said, this was one of the busiest roads in the town, and I soon spotted a car's headlights coming to turn down the road I was heading straight towards. I then screamed for help. The next thing I knew, I was in my bed. I sat straight up and asked my mom, "What happened last night?" All she told me was, "You came home from a walk with our neighbor Susie, who offered to drive you home since you were really tired." I calmed down a bit and got dressed. I told my mom I was heading to Susie's house to thank her, since I thought I forgot to last night. Susie's house was only a few houses down. I could see the car I'd seen last night and had yelled at. The car had a very large dent on the passenger side door. I rang Susie's doorbell. She answered and looked around wildly outside before letting me in. She was shaking. She asked me, "What the heck was that last night? What was that?" I shook my head. I don't know myself." She replied, "I saw that thing running at you on 4 legs, but as soon as you climbed in the car, it stood up on 2 legs and threw itself at the door.
So bear.
I just stepped on the gas and got you back home, and I didn't see it after that." I told her what had happened to me. She told me she was going to install a security system around her home after that. She was just as freaked out about it as I was, and we swore never to tell anyone in the neighborhood, so that they wouldn't freak out too. I didn't see it for a while, until I began to hear stories from my neighbors about the local coyote eating out of trash cans again. And unfortunately, someone had found their dead cat's body completely torn up in the ditch where I'd seen it. There were also reports of strangely active wolves around the mountainside. People were warned to stay away from the mountain after sunset. The reason I've decided to finally tell this story is because I saw it again yesterday. I was at a streetlight near my house on the main road, and I saw it dash across in front of my car. Its back legs were bent the wrong way.
This is like the 3rd or 4th time he's seen it. Shouldn't that say something that maybe he's not a good person? Because they said they only go after people that are terrible against women and children. We need to see who this guy is. Because I think I know a lot about him already.
And still, its lower jaw appeared to be missing. It freaked me out so bad that I wanted to warn at least someone. I tried telling my neighbors to just watch out for the coyote, but they only believed me to keep their cats indoors for the night. I haven't seen Marty in a while, and my neighbor refuses to tell us what happened to him. So, if you live near South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, keep your pets inside during the night, and don't go out at night without protection, because there might be a skinwalker in the area. If anybody has seen this coyote, I'd love...
It's not a coyote, bro. It's a skinwalker. Now, almost ended. Since, wow, everybody just disappeared. We're going to do some more, we're going to go over the Pacific to the Philippines next. Some of these my wife could tell you about. Some of my grandmother could tell you about. Well, she couldn't tell you about it because she's dead. My mom, aunts, uncles, cousins, me.
It's been a while since I've covered any folklore stories. Actually, it's been a couple of years. So I thought today it might be fun to explore some more. And where better to take a trip than a nation with more than its fair share of urban legends and horror stories?
Yep.
I'm, of course, talking about the Philippines.
I wonder if they're going to talk about the
I've
white lady.
handpicked 5 of my favorite Filipino tales to narrate. Some are first person accounts, others overviews, but they're all equally eerie. So switch off the lights, close the curtains, and enjoy some eclectic folk tales from a truly diverse country. Today's video is sponsored by Mech Arena, the fast-paced, team-based 5v5 shooter that promotes friendly, competitive mobile play. This free-to-play game focuses on short, high-intensity PvP matches and is perfect for anyone looking to jump in, blow up some mechs with their buddies, and be out in 5 minutes flat. When it comes to the mechs, there's a bunch to collect and choose from, and they're all fully customizable. From their paint jobs and skins, to the weapon combinations you load them out with, you can create unique mechs that suit your personality and playstyle, and use them to dominate in a variety of game modes, from control point capture to 5v5 and 2v2 deathmatches. If you like to get down and dirty, you can charge in head first with a kill shot equipped with shotguns, but if you're more like me, you might value defense over offense. Roll with a juggernaut, equip an autocannon or two, and use your personal shield to stay in the fight. With new mechs, weapons, and game modes being added every month in August. Free to play. Here's a little known legend from my hometown in the Philippines. There's an infamous mountain here called Mount Cristobal. For tourists and people passing through, it's just like any other mountain you might see throughout my country. But we locals call it the Devil's Mountain for a reason. All sorts of peculiar and tragic happenings have occurred on and around Mount Cristobal, including the deaths and disappearances of many hikers and adventurers over the years. Some people claim that the devil himself lives there, hence the mountain's ominous nickname, and most avoid going there like the plague. Us locals believe that supernatural creatures roam the area after sundown. The unsettling feeling one gets when approaching the mountain is enough to scare most people off, even those who have never heard of the mountain's reputation before. In fact, there are countless stories from would-be hikers who were overcome by an eerie sensation when they approached the mountain, and so decided not to climb it. Sadly, not everybody trusts their intuition. When I was a child, my father owned a gas station. I was hanging around with him while he worked one day, playing with some toys in the back room. That morning, a group of 3 tourists from America came in. They bought a few snacks and drinks, fueled up their vehicle, and asked my dad if he could help them with some directions. "Sure, where'd you need to go?" my dad inquired. "The foot of Mount Cristobal," replied one of the young Americans. "We want to check out the mountain, but we don't know the best place to start our hike. Do you know a good starting point?" My dad's eyes widened, and his jaw tightened. He told them that it was a dangerous place, linked to numerous terrible incidents. Said that it was the devil's playground, a cursed mountain. The 3 of them laughed at him, unfazed by his concerns. "That's why we came here in the first place. We want to check it out, chill with the devil for a while." I know now that most people from other countries think urban legends are all nonsense, and that the 3 Americans believe going to the mountain was just a bit of fun. But my father took the stories about Mount Cristobal very seriously. "I don't know the best place to start your hike," said my father. "In my opinion, there is no best place to start. Not if you have any sense anyway.
Dad,
It's dangerous, I
reading
know."
about Mount Cristobal.
The group ignored my father's
What's Mount
remarks,
Cristobal?
paid for their things, and drove off without any more discussion.
Huh?
I looked
Mount
up at my
Cristobal.
father, and even though I was young, and this was many years ago, I
mountain
remember
in
the
the
concern on
Philippines?
his face as he watched those tourists leave.
Oh, you don't know?
I
Must
asked
be
him
up
what
in
was
my
wrong,
area then.
but he said nothing more about the matter. 5 days later, news started circulating around town about what had happened. An American tourist had stumbled out of the forest surrounding Mount Cristobal. He was completely alone and delirious, having had no food or sleep for days. I instantly recognized his face in the local newspaper my father was reading. It was one of the Americans that had come to our gas station. The paper told his story. Apparently, he and his two friends found their way to the foot of the mountain after all, and began making their way up to the top. They'd brought a tent and supplies with them, and planned to spend a night atop the mountain. They set up camp near a cliff with a steep drop, and cooked themselves some dinner. At nightfall, the three of them sat in a row on the cliff's edge, their feet dangling over the side of it. The kind of stupid thing young people do when they feel invincible. They sat there in the dark, looking out at the beautiful world that surrounded them. Soon, they realized something wasn't right. "Hey, do you guys feel that?" one of them said to the others. Collectively, they all sensed that there was something in the darkness below them. They stopped their chattering and peered down into the total blackness of the sheer drop under their feet. Without sound or warning, a pair of hands, attached to two long arms, shot up from below them, grabbed the middle tourist by his legs, and, in one fell tug, pulled him straight over the edge.
Yeah, fuck that.
They heard their friend scream as he fell and vanished into the blackness, followed by a loud and distinctive thud as he hit the ground. One moment he was sitting there, then, in an instant, gone, swallowed by the darkness. The two remaining men scrambled from the cliff's edge. They couldn't believe what they'd just seen. Two impossibly long, stretched arms had just raised up out of nowhere and stolen their friend. They ran, and in their frantic escape, lost track of one another. One of the men kept running downhill, pushing through the brush and avoiding pitfalls. But as he made his way down the mountain slopes and came to a clearing, he found that he was somehow higher up on the mountain than where he'd started. He continued walking down the mountain, only to find himself somehow ascending it. For 4 days he wandered, trying to find his way to the bottom and back to civilization, all the while thinking he was losing his mind.
Listen, some hell of ass.
Cristobal loosened its grip on him.
Some good acid.
From the mountain and was given medical assistance. It was a miracle that he had survived. The man who was pulled over the ledge by the hands was found at the bottom of the cliff, his head cracked open like a coconut, his bones shattered.
Sure they didn't push him?
The second American was never found. To this day, it's unknown what happened to him. He remains unaccounted for.
Second American pushed him.
Claimed by the mountain.
And the guy that got away was running away.
I tried to warn them, said my father as he read their story in the paper. I tried to warn them, like so many others before. But you can't save everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Their story was read about and quickly forgotten by most locals. Like I said, deaths and disappearances are commonplace on that mountain. They were just another 3 men who went to meet the devil and got far more than they bargained for.
They offended nature. Oh, great.
One folkloric creature from my country that everyone knows of is the balbal. Considered by many to be one of the most frightful and disgusting creatures in Filipino folklore, they're said to be an omen of death, but there aren't many who have a personal story to share about them. Most believe them to be fictional creatures too, but my uncle knows otherwise. He told me a story from his youth one evening when the two of us were drinking alone and having a heart-to-heart, and I'm going to share that story with you now. My uncle wasn't one to lie about such matters, and he recalled this incident with such clarity and sincerity that I, for one, believe him, and I'm not the only one. In roughly his words, this is what he shared with me. I was only 10 years old at the time. My father, your granddaddy, had suddenly and unexpectedly passed away. My brother, your father, was 4 years older than me and very protective. After our dad passed, he effectively became the man of the house, despite only being a teenager himself. Took good care of Mum and me, but there was something that he always got angry about, and that he refused to let me discuss. It was the day of our father's funeral. A crowd of family and friends were gathered around his open grave. We listened to the priest philosophize on death for a few minutes, and then watched as the coffin was lowered into the grave and covered with dirt. There were a lot of tears and condolences, the usual stuff. I remember thinking at the time, I should feel a lot sadder than this. I hadn't shed a single tear during the whole service, and I felt guilty about that. I loved my dad with all my heart, of course.
Obviously
He was a
not.
good man, a kind man. I'd spent the last few days in tears over his loss. But there was something about the atmosphere around that grave that felt off. It distracted me from my sadness. It's hard to put it into words,
It's
but the
feeding
air
time.
had this sort of heaviness to it. There was a pressure to it that I hadn't felt before. Everyone's words seemed muffled, just slightly. No one else seemed to notice it, so I put it down to my emotions wreaking havoc on my body. As we all stood around, watching the hall be filled, I suddenly felt this strange compulsion. A compulsion to look towards the banana trees in the distance. I gazed at those banana trees.
Banana.
It felt like I was looking at a picture where everything else was out of focus, except the part that your eye is supposed to be drawn to. Everything and everywhere else seemed a little blurry, but not this one particular section of trees. This was a weird sensation, and I tried not to panic, to fit in with all the other people around me, standing silently around the grave. But I could feel
You're
the
the
cold
only one
sweat
that sees
forming on my forehead, and I couldn't look away from those trees. I just knew there was someone behind them, watching us. And then I saw him. A man with very pale skin, dressed in black. Not unusual for a funeral, but even from 50 or 60 meters away, I could tell there was something not right about this guy. Another person might have seen him and thought that he was just someone who knew my father, that he was watching from afar because he was shy or out of respect. Somehow, I just knew otherwise. After the service, the crowd dispersed, and my brother, mother, and I went back home, now one family member short. But I couldn't stop thinking about that strange experience, about the banana trees and the man hiding within them. I knew I had to go back and investigate, alone.
You're stupid.
I knew my brother would call me a dramatic fool, and after the day we had all just had, I didn't want to cause my mother any more distress. So, after dinner, I quietly left the house and walked quickly towards the nearby cemetery. The sun had already set, and I wanted to get back before my mother knew I was gone. There were no electric lights or anything like that at the time, of course, but by the time I reached the gates, my eyes had already adjusted to the darkness. As I made my way past the first few headstones and got deeper into the graveyard, that blurry, otherworldly sensation began to take a hold of me again.
Tunnel vision.
The closer I got to my father's grave, the stronger the effect became. I had to stop to collect myself. Standing still, I could hear a noise coming from around the corner ahead of me. The corner that led to my father's resting place. My stomach was in knots as I stepped forward and turned the corner. There it was, Father's grave. It had been dug up. His coffin was open. And there, standing over him, was the only thing in focus. A tall, pale figure. Something between a man and a monster. It was shaped like a human, sure, but was much skinnier. The proportions were all off. It wasn't wearing clothes, and you could see each rib. Its face was buried deep in the coffin, but I must have let out a gasp because it quickly jolted up and looked right at me. Its eyes were dead, as if skin had grown over them, like a Greek statue. At the end of its stretched face was a grotesquely long tongue, which thrashed back and forth.
Yeah, he was eating.
What must have been its mouth was stained with some dark liquid. I immediately knew what it was. A baobao, the grave robber from the stories. And just like in the stories, I knew why it was there at my father's grave and what it was doing with him in his open coffin. It was eating him, peeling his skin off with its tongue and bloody, curved fingernails. I turned and ran for the gates, didn't stop running until I made it back home. I was in floods of tears, and my brother immediately told me to get a grip of myself and to not worry Mother. He asked me what on earth was the matter, told me that he was the man of the house and that he'd take care of it, whatever it was.
Oh, okay.
I confided in him what I'd just seen. He scolded me, told me not to make up such stories about our dearly departed father. And then, realizing that I genuinely was in a state of shock, he told me that he would go to the grave and take a look for himself. I begged him not to go, but he told me I was just in a state of grief, and that he
That's
was
the
just
last
going to
time
take a
you
look
saw
to
him,
put my
right?
mind at ease. In the meantime, he said, I had to wait in my room. It was too late for me to be going back outside. 20 minutes later, he returned. He knocked on my door, told me that he went to the cemetery,
Right.
and that there was nothing there.
He
That
lied.
there was nothing out of place at the grave, and that everything was as it should be. Nothing out of the ordinary, and certainly no balbals out for a midnight feast. I had just been imagining things, he said. But I knew what I'd seen, and I told him that he must have just missed the thing. Your old man got real serious with me after that. Told me to stop making up lies, and to never speak of this ridiculous balbal story again. He said, nobody likes a liar. You're gonna get a reputation if you go around saying you saw a balbal. But I wasn't
But
lying.
not really.
Maybe I was just seeing things. Yeah. Maybe I did just have a moment of madness, sparked by the loss of our papa.
Yeah, trauma.
A grieving mind can play all manner of strange tricks on a person, that I know. But it was so real that I can't explain it. I just know I saw what I saw. I know it was a balbal. I know it was watching us in its human form during the service. And I know it came to eat our dad.
It was inevitable, bro.
I stopped talking about it after that. With that, my uncle took a swig from his drink. I didn't know what to make of his story, but I knew he wasn't lying. That's to say, I knew he truly believed he saw a balbal. But maybe my uncle was just a bit crazier than I thought. Sometime after my uncle told me that story, I decided to speak to my father about it. I expected my dad to laugh about it. To say, that old story again. Your uncle must have had too much to drink. Instead, he just looked at me with an uncharacteristically serious face. Your uncle and I haven't talked about that for a long time, he told me. I'm surprised he brought it up with you. It's a bad omen to mention it.
Oh.
My uncle had told me about my father's reaction at the time. How he'd told my father about the balbal, and how my father had mocked him, and told him to show more respect to their father, and to stop lying about such drivel. The concern in my father's voice now caught me off guard.
Told you he lied.
I questioned him about it. There was a long pause. My father exhaled. I knew he wasn't lying. I saw it too. My dad explained that that night, when he went alone to investigate his brother's claim, he found their father's grave was covered, just as it should have been, but that it seemed freshly filled in, as if the dirt had just been placed minutes before. A scraping sound caught his attention, and he looked up towards some banana trees in the distance. There, he saw a pale, emaciated figure, with statue-like eyes and a thrashing tongue.
Get rid of the banana
what
trees.
was left of a suited corpse into the tree line.
Repurpose them.
He then went home and pretended not to have seen anything. Firstly, to protect his brother, to make him think that he had just imagined the balbal and that the creature wasn't real. And secondly, so they didn't talk about it. That would have been inviting death into their lives.
Well,
if you talk too much about the balbal, he'll come for you.
Now all three of them are dead.
My father
right?
said that he'll never know for sure, but he's certain that if he were to dig up my grandfather's grave, inside his coffin, he wouldn't find bones. Instead, he'd most likely find the
Skin?
trunk of a banana tree.
Oh,
the very
what?
item a balbal is said to replace a body with when it comes to steal one. For the sake of my uncle, I promised my father I wouldn't reveal his secret. The fact that they both had seen the same thing, and that it wasn't just my uncle's imagination. My father also made me promise, regardless of my own beliefs, that I never talk about the balbal with either of them again. This was all a long time ago, and both my uncle and father have since passed.
I was gonna say, now you're
I kept
next.
my promise and didn't bring the story up with either of them again.
But you told us.
I can say I didn't see anything at their funerals.
Oh fuck, we're all gonna die.
No pale figure lurking in the tree line. Nothing digging them up under cover of darkness. I don't know if I believe in the balbal fully. I don't believe it's exactly how the stories say, that seeing it is an omen of death, or that talking about it will draw its attention to you. But I do believe that they both saw something at my grandfather's funeral. Something very few people ever have or will. And that such folklore stories exist for a reason. Because a select few know the truth and pass those stories on to the rest of us.
Last one.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. We all know Frank Sinatra's classic rendition of My Way.
Yeah,
The song's
and
lyrics are sung from the perspective of a dying man, reflecting on his life and how he lived it the way he wanted to. What you might not know,
that's a
however,
creepy
is that in the
picture, though.
Philippines, many people consider the song to be cursed. Here's why. Open karaoke bars, or videoke bars as they're sometimes called, are very popular hangout spots in the Philippines.
Yeah,
They're
especially when
cheap,
you're in
lively,
fucking
and fun
Smash.
places to grab a few brewskis and sing your favorite tunes in front of a bunch of strangers.
We don't call them brewskis.
However, My Way is avoided by almost everybody, or outright banned by bar owners. That's because, beginning in 2002, a strangely high number of murders started being linked to the song in videoke bars throughout the nation.
Really?
There are numerous accounts of patrons choosing to sing the song and then being slaughtered by another customer, either during their performance or immediately afterwards.
Bullshit.
There was something about that song that was either hypnotizing people into a murderous rage or some unexplained force that was cursing the singer. It wasn't until 2007 when this social phenomenon really started grabbing
we were
headlines.
long.
In May of that year, a 29-year-old man was shot dead by a security guard in Rizal. The guard had told the man that his rendition of My Way was off-key and warned him to stop singing.
Wait, what?
The man refused, and so the guard, infuriated by his terrible singing, pulled out his pistol and gunned him down. After that incident, news of the My Way curse spread like wildfire, and past cases where the
Like
song was the
in
catalyst for
Maui?
someone's death were reported on. As crazy as it sounds, videoke bars across the Philippines started removing My Way from their song lists, with the owners terrified that the song might lead to more bloodshed on their premises.
It's a good song for Friday.
Even today, fear of the curse persists, and if you find a place in the Philippines where the song is still available, it's very rare to hear anybody sing this once popular karaoke song. In reality, the unusually high number of deaths linked to My Way in the Philippines probably has a much more grounded explanation. New York Times writer Norimitsu Onishi wrote about how the My Way killings may have been, quote-unquote, the natural byproduct of the country's culture of violence, drinking, and machismo. One guy laughs at another guy singing, his ego gets bruised, and a fight breaks out, resulting in one of them getting killed.
I would definitely be the one.
Pop culture expert Roland B. Tolentino agreed, noting that videoke bars in the Philippines can often get rowdy and violent. According to him, fights often get sparked whenever someone hogs the microphone, sings a boring song, or butchers a track with their terrible voice. But why have so many deaths been linked to My Way in particular? Firstly, My Way is, or at least was, a popular karaoke song throughout the
Subliminal
nation.
messaging.
It was chosen more often than other songs, so statistically, it kind of makes sense that more people would die during or shortly after singing it than other songs too.
I got tired of hearing it.
I mean, if a song's going to get a death curse attributed to it, it's going to be a popular one. Secondly, the song itself just kind of winds Filipino men up the wrong way. It's very triumphalist, and according to Butch Albarracin, a singing school owner, the lyrics, quote-unquote, evoke feelings of pride and arrogance in the singer, as if you're somebody when you're really nobody. It covers up your failures. That's why it leads to fights. With all that in mind, the curse itself makes a lot more sense.
No, it actually
A
still
drunk man
does.
singing the song might suddenly feel a lot more egotistical, and another equally wasted gentleman might not take kindly to that. They picked the wrong song, annoyed the wrong guy in one way or another, and boom, only one man's left standing. That being said, there are a lot of other ego-boosting songs out there that are sung throughout videoke bars in the Philippines, and none of them have sparked the same kind of strong response as
Subliminal
mine.
messaging.
Why it's this song, and only this song, that seems to drive people into a rage is anyone's guess.
That's my guess. Is it time? No, not yet.
A few years back, a coworker of mine shared a story with me. He was 17 when this happened. It was November, and he and his friend went to explore an abandoned school late at night.
Where?
They snuck in through a broken window and passed through empty hallways that were once full of life. I don't know what they were hoping to find in there. Perhaps nothing.
A book?
They made their way down one particularly long stretch of hallway, and in the darkness ahead of them, they heard the distinct sound of footsteps slapping on floor tiles. Against the silence of the night, there was no mistaking the sound for anything else. 10 meters or so in front of them, at the end of the long hallway, the blackness of the wall slowly became more light with each footstep they heard. Someone was coming from around the corner, and whoever they were holding something that was emitting a lot of light.
Security.
As the light grew and illuminated the end of the hallway, my friend and his friend stopped to see who had come around the corner. But just as the unknown person was about to step into sight, the sound of their footsteps abruptly stopped. The light was now fully illuminating the end of the hallway, and my friend could see the end of a man's foot slightly poking out from around the corner of the wall.
Security.
My friend and his companion stood alert, waiting for whoever this person was to round the corner. They were expecting to get yelled at by someone. But whoever this person was, they merely stood motionless, their foot the only part of them visible. "Hey, who is that around there?" my friend's companion shouted out. But the figure didn't reply. My friend wanted to leave, but his companion was curious and actually took one step towards the unknown figure.
Uh-oh.
That's when the unknown person stepped out from around the corner. The lantern he was holding in his hand lit him up fully in the darkness. Now, taking quick steps towards them, was a priest wearing black robes and beads.
Oh, okay.
His head was missing, the stump of his neck completely visible.
Was his head the lantern?
His lantern swayed back and forth as his free hand reached out towards them, as if he was planning on grabbing them.
Shaking your hands.
My friend and his companion ran
trying
back
to
down the
bless you.
dark end of the hallway, clambered out of a window, and sprinted as far away from that school as they could. Another of our co-workers also listened to his story and said that the headless priest was probably decapitated by Japanese soldiers during World War II.
Yep.
A period in which beheadings were commonplace for clergymen. He said that the priest had most likely been executed near the school and was wandering the hallways, looking for his missing head. "He probably saw your heads," said the co-worker, and wanted to use one as his own.
I remember that.
This has to be the most infamous legend in this video.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Stretching from Samar to Leyte is the San Juanico Bridge, an impressive piece of engineering with sordid rumors attached to it. If you find yourself driving the Pan-Philippine Highway and stop to ask locals about the bridge, they're bound to tell you about its construction. Back when the bridge was being made, between 1969 and 1973, a story spread like wildfire across the region. Imelda Marcos, First Lady of the Philippines and a prominent politician at the time, was the person who had ordered and was overseeing the bridge's construction. Rumor has it that the superstitious First Lady went to a fortune teller and asked them for advice about the bridge project. The fortune teller told her that mixing blood in with the concrete was going to give the bridge extra strength and ensure that its construction was a success. But not just any blood would do. The juice from corpses would help a little, but it was better if those juices were fresh and from young hosts. As the story goes, children in the area started going missing from their homes, never to be seen again. So many vanished that people started discussing their theories, and according to construction workers, they'd heard that youngsters were being harvested and slain to help make the bridge stronger.
Wait. Harvesting kids' blood to make stronger bricks? You know who else harvests people's blood? Wait. Never mind, YouTube. Adrenochrome. The Hollywood elites.
Their bodies being mixed in with the concrete. What gives this urban legend some credence are the sheer number of children that disappeared in the area at the time the bridge was being constructed. Not to mention, Imelda Marcos, the politician who ordered the bridge's construction, turned out to be massively corrupt, and, along with her husband, had stolen billions of dollars from the Filipino people. She and her husband, who are conjugal dictators, actually hold the Guinness World Record for greatest robbery of a government. Not exactly moral people. While the rest of the country suffered economically, she and her family lived a lavish lifestyle and displayed no signs of sympathy for their fellow countrymen and women. On top of that, Marcos really was a superstitious woman and would have definitely heard the myths about blood strengthening foundations. That's to say, if anyone was going to be willing to use children in a bridge's construction, it would have probably been her. So there was an evil politician overseeing the San Juanico Bridge, There were a bunch of youngsters in the area who vanished, and the story must have circulated for a reason. Of course, the truth will never be known, but if on the off chance that one day it does come to light that this story was more than an urban legend, well, I don't think many of the locals would be the least bit surprised.
I'm saving the best for last. Did they not do it? There it is. No, it's not. God damn it. Oh well. They didn't show the one I wanted. But anyway. I like folklore. I like exploring. I like ghosts. Sometimes I just watch weird shit. And so do you guys, apparently. So I'm not telling y'all how to think because this wasn't one of those shows where I was telling you how to think because you could think for yourselves. Well, this was, something to watch. Don't know where I'm going with any of this. Hold on. But I do appreciate every single one of you that showed up. And I hope I look forward to seeing you again in the future. So that being said, I don't know what's being said. That's what's being said.